Hey, folks. Uh, if you are interested in chatting, there's a Minneapolis room in the Twin Cities Gamedev Discord. And I did post a link to that. I know Twitch is a little bit weird about you can't scroll back through stuff that wasn't there when you joined. There is also all the info about joining is up on our Connect page, igdatc.org/connect. And you can join us in the events chat room, or in the Minneapolis room is where we'll actually be listening.
So you can test the audio mix and see how everything sounds. I can't hear you at all. You're a little quiet, but I can hear you.
Really quiet for me.
Really quiet for me too.
Do you have gain on that thing? Can you like crank the knob up?
Is it audio coming from the mic on your head, or is it a different mic? I can hear you, but I maxed out your volume.
Hey guys.
Hi, Scott.
Oh.
Hello.
Wait, is there a Scott? I'm actually Sam, but
And hi, Sam.
Several Scots.
okay, good. So I guess should I mute the stream while I talk in here? Yeah, I can just hear everything that you hear, basically. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out where that's coming from. There, it's being repeated twice. Ah, that's where it was coming from.
Is it the microphone on your face?
Yeah, you can change the settings in Discord.
Yeah.
It's like settings and then voice and video and then yeah. It sounds the same.
Exactly the same. Yeah, it's definitely like, oh, I'm getting an echo now, but I'm not sure if that's because if everyone can hear that or just me. I'm gonna live dangerously and turn on the automatic gain control. How's that sound?
So much better.
Yeah, you got it. Yep, you did it.
Sick gains, bro.
I believe I can't either.
Same here.
Same.
Ooh, himself though, neat.
Okay, how about now? If anyone is listening to both.
I can hear other people in Twitch. if I mute it.
Good times.
Just not you.
Well, I had my mic muted in Twitch, but I thought that it would come through in Discord. But it actually kind of makes sense that it wouldn't come through in Discord, or that it wouldn't loop back, because otherwise you'd get like crazy, I don't know, looping audio.
Yeah, there's probably not a solution. If you wanted to hear people talking in the stream as well, there's not going to be like a solution. We'll just have to mute one or the other.
I think I figured it out. Oh yeah, thanks, AFE. feel like it's too quiet now without the audio, without the music. Still kind of soft. Yeah, I don't know. I can't really do much about it, I don't think. I'll have to speak up when I'm actually presenting, I think. I'm gonna turn the music back on because we're all lame. Unless you guys want to chat. What do you think? Does anyone have opinions? We got about...
I have at least 4.
I mean, we can turn down. I can turn down the music on the stream.
Okay, yes, that's true. I could just stream just the music. I guess I was thinking we're streaming the chat as well.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna play the music again.
Who composed the music? This is Gus, by the way. I kind of stuck it inside.
Violent but friendly.
Does anybody know the music is from the like Juggernauts soundtrack? Oh, there it is. Robert Frost. There was a trombone solo, which really took me by surprise because it's very near trombone solo, just like out in the wild.
Sounds like you're hanging with the wrong people.
I hear the trombone solos now.
So volume, you say?
Ooh, that's what we should call this, the chat room, the volume mixer.
Are there people also in the? Oh no, St. Paul's. Oh no.
Ooh, fighting words.
Does this? Are you gonna have the open mic stuff the entire time? Okay.
But Martin, when you speak, I just hear you once. But when anyone else speaks, I hear them twice.
Other way around, yeah.
Discord, yeah.
So anyone listening on the stream is getting a perhaps jumbled out of
In
order.
fact, I had forgotten to unmute myself on the stream. So yes, they were hearing all of you, but not me.
Wow, Marty, I can't believe you just gave us like detailed directions to that $1 million you buried.
Yeah. Too bad only people on Discord heard that. So
Below the X, you say?
Zach is saying he only hears the music. You don't hear the other people chatting? Maybe Zach's not even paying attention.
He's deafened, I think. There it is. Yep.
I'm hearing everybody twice. Well, I'm hearing everybody in the stream.
Okay, cool. No music in the Discord. What? Oh, yeah, that's true. I don't even know how to do that. Like, there's probably a way.
Yeah,
for me
there's
to
like a
share
bot
my
you can
music.
get.
There's a what?
There's like a bot you can get.
Oh, okay.
Will
Sure.
like listen to anything.
So Sam, you just beat Spelunky 2 on hard?
Yeah, I just beat the hard mode. Yeah.
How was that?
I would have chatted a little more, but I was like, it's kind of fun. So it was good. It was very good. It took me a long time to do the hard ending. So.
How long
I thought
have
that
you?
was like an
Have you
end
been
of,
playing Spelunky 2
like,
since it came
Burks,
out?
I think.
Yeah, I've been playing Stripe. Yeah, so there's 3 endings technically. There's the basic ending. There's like the hard ending, and then there's like a super ridiculously hard ending where basically the final world is like 99 levels long or something. And only one person in the world has done that so far. I haven't done that. I don't think that I will be a person who does that.
So do you recommend killing the shopkeepers or being friendly?
If you're trying to beat the game, I would say be friendly if you can. But sometimes you gotta kill them. Sometimes they gotta look at stuff, you know?
Sometimes they have a shield sitting right there.
Yeah, it's like if they don't want you to kill them, why would they just put a shield right next to them? That's the question. But yeah, it's very good. I'm excited to beat it. A lot of people talk about the difficulty a lot, and I think there's a lot of interesting discussion. But people talked a lot about the difficulty of Spelunky 1 too. And I think there's something to a game that kind of lets the world, it's more focused on like, I don't know, world focused design versus like player focused design, which I know sounds weird, but I don't know. That's something I really like about Spelunky is that it's kind of unfairly fair in a lot of ways. So
Who's the developer?
It's Derek Yu. Moss Mouth Games is the place, but Derek Yu's the main guy. He also made Aquaria and Spunky One, obviously, and he like manages or like was a main person of the TigSource forums, which I know is what's a big indie forum thing. Yeah, he's kind of prolific, I guess, but yeah.
There's a lot of really cool articles on like how the Spelunky, like how the procedural generation works out there, and that's a fun. I'm kind of waiting for the like inevitable comparison of like how, you know, the Spelunky 2 proc gen works differently, or you know, like what.
So from what I can tell, it seems kind of to be the same in some ways. I don't know. It seems very similar in terms of the algorithm. It just has different room pieces and stuff. But yeah, I mean, it definitely feels great. Like I don't know, Spelunky kind of nails it. Like a feeling of like handcrafted stuff that's still procedural. It is kind of like room tile based, but also since they're connecting and since they can like actually interact with each other, there's interesting things compared to like Rogue Legacy or something where everything is its own separate room. That Spelunky actually has them all kind of in the same area, so like there's actually interaction. Is good.
All right, I think I'm gonna get started.
Let's do it.
Yeah. So everybody who's in Discord or listening to Discord, you should just go listen to the Twitch stream. I'm gonna leave the Discord chat here by, how do I even do that? I have to press the like hang up button or something. Where is that? There it is. Disconnect. Sweet. So we're out of that. All right. Everybody by now knows the drill. This is the IGDA Twin Cities. That's where we are, I guess. That's what I'm saying. And I want to press this button. Go away. There we go. I want to more or less see what... Oh, whoa, that's weird. Okay, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, now I'm just like resizing the screen. Good times. It's going to happen again. I'm sorry. Okay. I think? No? Yeah, that's better. All right, cool. So, welcome everyone. Anyone not been here before, feel free to chime in and introduce yourselves. If you are not already in the Slack and the Discord, there's a Slack and a Discord. The Slack is probably more populous or more often. There's more chat in there, but we use Discord for these events. It's kind of better for real-time stuff, I think. Anyway, so we do aim to be a safe and inclusive community. That applies to both the Slack and Discord and also Twitch, obviously. And you can read our code of conduct if you'd like. We used to meet in person at the Nerdery, and we'll hopefully someday do that again. So thanks to them for that for many years. This is who we are. Ooh, we're the Board of Dury. The Board of Dury, maybe? The board of something. Anyway, so this is kind of a new thing that we have a board at all, but so like last year we held some elections. We're gonna hold elections again, but we're probably gonna wait till after we're in. I don't know if we'll wait till we're back in person, but we're definitely not going to do it this year. We might hold elections again early next year, and there'll be some like actual official announcement about that at some point. We're not there yet. Not there in terms of we're not making an official announcement right now. But if you want to be involved, you could talk to any of these people, and we are like happy to entertain all your ideas, and obviously let you do them. We have 3 events right now per month. Oh man, like this slide is terrible because my face is covering up the November calendar, which okay, whatever, it doesn't matter. So our main meeting, you're at it right now. just anything game dev related, basically. Next month, Ellen Burns Johnson will be talking about games-based learning, which is what she does, and that sounds awesome. We also have a playtest event on I guess, the third Wednesday, and a little bit more about that in a minute. And then we always, almost always, I guess, we usually have a VR meeting as well, VR and human computer interaction, on the fourth Wednesday, and that's run by Zach, who is probably in chat, and will tell you more about it if you want to ask him directly, I guess. Maybe I was not inviting you on stage, Zach, or anyway, not trying to, okay, whatever, doesn't matter. Anyway, next month, next meeting, which is this month on the 28th, you can see from the calendar up here, we will be having Bradley Ellen Boss. Oh, I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. Sorry, Bradley. And he has an interesting project. He was supposed to present last month, but I think I'm not exactly sure what the thing was, whether it was us or him or what. And we ended up having this cool panel instead, which I can't actually remember. I guess it was about like all kinds of stuff. We talked about the like Oculus. It's not Oculus Connect anymore. The Facebook Connect conference that had just happened, and there were some Apple announcements that had just happened. This month, I mean this week, like 2 days ago, 2 days, 1 day, yesterday, there were more Apple announcements. There's going to be the LiDAR sensor that is previously just on the iPad Pro is now on the back of all the new phones. Well, the new Pro phones, the new expensive phones. But I think that's an important step for, like the future of 3D computing, the future of our 3D lifestyle, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so that's a thing we'll probably talk about some. Here's more about the Twin Cities playtest event. It's every third Wednesday, as I said. You can join as an attendee, as a playtester, as a developer. Specifically, by they I mean Peter and Mark, who run this thing, are happy to have other people playtest the games. They're also looking for games, so if you have a game and you want to playtest it on stream, hit them up. And if you just want to play some games on stream, hit them up for that as well. Or you can just show up and watch. Yeah, it's a good time. As always, you can get a hold of us in a ton of different ways. This is our kind of like a connect page. Oh man, this is actually the old page design. I should throw up a screenshot of the new page design. We redesigned our website like sometime in the last couple months, and by redesigned I mean we just removed all the design. But anyway, so there's a bunch of different ways to connect with us that are on there. This is a good way to find how to connect with the Slack and the Discord if you don't already have, if you're not already connected there. The URL, if you can't read it, is igdatc.org/connect, or just like click the connect button in the navigation or whatever. The Slack is pretty much the most common. I mean, it's just the most activity, I guess. But Twitter is probably the best way to get a hold of us publicly. But you can always email. Email's great as well. And I think we're pretty responsive. Hopefully, maybe. We're always looking for presenters. Right now, I think we are not looking for someone to present until next year, but we would love to book out that far. So if you have a topic that you want to talk about, we'd love to hear about it. It's a very friendly crowd. If you haven't done a talk before, we have 2 talks every meeting. So, the shorter one is a great way to sort of dip your toes in the water and get comfortable in front of a crowd. Although, right now you're just in front of your computer screen. We are a chapter of the International Game Developers Association. It's a real thing that is international and all over the world. You can become a card-carrying member. Of course, we don't require it to meet, to come to our meetings, but there are benefits if you do that, and you can read about them on igda.org. And that's all I'll say about that. This is, kind of new to us that we're on Twitch. I mean, it's only been since March, I guess, that we've been doing this. We would much prefer to have networking events in person, and that's definitely like what we'll eventually strive to return to. But while we're on Twitch, feel free to make suggestions. No one's really taken us up on this, or at least no one but the board members who have lots of different opinions. But we definitely want to hear new ideas or how we could be doing better. So feel free to give us that feedback if you want. So we try and always have like a plugs and announcements section. You can sign up for a ticket that lets you do this. There's also icecold.games, which is a community calendar. It's not being maintained very well during these trying times, but you can, if you are interested in adding something to the calendar, you can tweet at Zach, or any of the board I think would also be able to point you in the right direction, or maybe just post your event for you. And we that's usually a good place to go and see what's kind of happening in the Twin Cities. But I think just while nothing's happening, no one's really posting stuff on there. The events that are happening are mostly happening online, and the Minnesota Electronic Theater is one of them, so that's pretty exciting. It's all going to be on YouTube this year, it sounds like. You can go to I didn't refresh this page. I'm going to refresh it, and then I'm going to have to probably skip all the way through this presentation again. Oh, and of course I have to escape the full screen. Oh my gosh, so much difficulty. So much difficulty? That's not what I meant to say. Okay, I will make it on full screen. I did it! Okay, now I have to fast forward. That was my fast forward noise. Alright, there's the URL, except it's covered by my face. Oh my gosh, this is it's a fine presentation we have here. Alright, the MinnesotaElectronicTheater.org, or it's not even it's MinnesotaElectronicTheater.org. You can also get there via the other URL that I had up for a second, which was met2020.org, but you can't put HTTPS in front of it. It only works with HTTP, so I meant to change that for Scott. Sorry, Scott. Anyway, they are still, I believe, accepting submissions. So if you have some, video stuff that you, they are very friendly to video game video stuff, so trailers or, whatever kind of stuff you're making. That is cool electronic art, video-based art. It's going to be awesome. It's always awesome, and it's all Minnesota stuff. And Scott Gaff runs that, so thanks, Scott, for all you do. There's also a trailer this month for Pillars of Creation. This was sent in by Luke Mayo, who I assume is the developer, or one of the developers, I'm not sure. Luke, feel free to chime in the chat if you're around. Oh yeah, date would have been good. Sorry, Scott. December 3rd is when the MET is going to be this year, so I don't know if we have actual times, but anyway, so Pillars of Creation. I figured we'd just play this trailer, so I'm going to do it. The first time I watched this earlier today, I did not catch that it's real time. That's kind of exciting. So I don't know anything about this game, and I would love to know more. So Yeah, so I don't know how to do that, but if Luke is around, you should answer questions in chat. Oh yeah, plain with mayo, nice. I saw on the website that you can sign up for beta testing if you're interested in that. I did sign up earlier today, so I'm excited to maybe check it out. Looks pretty cool. How far along are you think? Luke, I don't know what the delay will be before Luke answers this question. Anyway, that's our last plug for today. So we're going to move along to... oh yeah, I do have this slide that's just kind of about if anyone else has anything they want to plug, feel free to throw it in chat. And I mean the Twitch chat, but obviously you can throw it into Discord as well, and that's true all the time. So we are pretty friendly to, plug your stuff. Like we want to see all the cool stuff that's getting made here. So, yeah, I don't know. That's all I'm saying about that. So, I mean, normally we would also kind of do like a, hey, is anyone looking for collaborators kind of thing here. I'm just not doing it because I don't want to. There are, I mean, this is a great community, and there are a ton of people working on stuff. So if you are wanting to work on stuff and don't have stuff to work on, there'll probably be a project to glom onto. That's a thing that can happen and does happen in our community. So, Charles is our main, or our first presenter, and I want to find him and connect with him in Discord, and I have to do that. So everybody bear with me while I do that. Yeah. Apparently we're not friends yet. Wait, maybe we are. I'm not sure. Does this even work?
Oh.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, sweet. All right, you should share your screen.
Okay.
Probably.
Will do. Here
And I am going to switch over the stream to that.
Okay.
That's not you. Hold on. Give me a
Nope.
second. Nope, that's not you either. Sorry.
Oh, I should also.
Oh,
Oh,
You're also
no.
very quiet for me. I don't know. Is he
Oh,
is he
am
quiet
I?
for everyone else?
Quiet-ish. I can turn up. No problem.
Yeah, turn it up.
All right. How's this?
Give me
Am
just
I?
a minute. I think I need to
Okay.
pop out your
Nice.
screen. Here we go. Let's do that, and then I think I can make this bigger. I think that's good. Let me see. Hold on. I'm just talking to myself.
It's all good. I do the same thing all the time.
Where's the window? It doesn't show me the window. Okay, let's try this again. Change which window? Yes, there's the window. Maybe. No, yeah, it's this one. Alright, I'm gonna have to adjust you now.
Okay.
I don't know. How important do you think it is that you are visible during this
me
talk?
visible?
Yeah.
Not the most important. We can make me small if that's easier.
Yeah, I can't. Let me see if I can. I might have to just. I apologize. It's the ratio is wrong. Like I need to figure out there where that looks a little bit better.
Oh.
This is such a crapshoot. Okay, let me see if I can. Yeah, that seems like it should be right. Let's try it. Yeah, okay. Your slides are visible. You are not. I'm sorry.
That's no worries.
No, but we're really missing out here. Or
I
I should say, everyone watching the stream is really missing out. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you. I'm gonna let you go and mute myself. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So hi everyone. This is my talk, Rewired. It's an overview, tips and tricks. My name is Charles McGregor. I am the founder of Tribe Games. So yeah, so just before I start, this is more for like people who are familiar with Rewired. I'll give a general overview of that, but I just wanted to preface that of like, hey, this is for like, oh, if you want to figure out how ways to like update your stuff. But in general, what's up, bro? In general, so yeah, what is Rewired? The overview of what Rewired is it's a controller manager. So it can do so many different things. I'm only going to list a couple of things here, but it can make it easier to control what the players actually can do. And probably the thing that made me and like my brother and Lane and us go for Rewire is that there was hot plugging controllers. So if a controller disconnects and you reconnect mid game, all of this stuff is memorized or remembered, and you're not going to be suddenly, oh, now I'm player 4 when I was player 1 before, and things like that. Or you can plug in a controller while the game was open, things like that. That was stuff that pushed us over the edge. But the other one is that it's cross-platform, so you can make this work on standalone game things. So like PC, Mac, Linux. This works on Xbox. This works on in VR. This works on mobile. So yeah, it's cross-platform, which is super useful. Which I should also mention that this is for Unity stuff, so that it's really it'll basically work with almost all Unity platforms that are out there. But all right, so before I get into a little bit more terminology things, I do want to preface that a lot of the stuff that I'm about to talk about are things that you can find on the documentation. It's just a little hard to figure out what exactly you're looking for. And then the other thing is that this is just one way of utilizing all this stuff. There's a ton of different variations of being able to do this. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to try out a ton of different solutions and things and be a part of different projects and stuff. So I've been able to learn different techniques for different projects and things. And not everything will apply to your project. Say that you only have a single player game, but you don't need like a press A to join screen and stuff. But all right, so the biggest thing that I normally hear from a lot of people when they're first learning about Rewired is the terminology. There's a lot of terms, and it's a little confusing trying to figure out, okay, what does this mean? What does that mean? And things like that. So I'm going to do a quick breakdown of what these things mean before we jump into an example of how I utilize Rewired. So probably one of the most basic things to understand is action. When you hear the term action, it's basically any type of control that you would associate with like jump or move up or swing, things like that, where it's like a control that you would see and like a button prompt. It says X to jump or whatever. So those are what actions are. Then we have player. So a rewired player is basically anything that, I guess it is the player that is able to do said actions. So in most situations, you'll have like, hey, player 1, can you jump? Or did you press the jump button? And things like that. And that's one of the other benefits. One of the other big benefits of Rewired is that it is player centric and not controller centric. So we are not asking, hey, Xbox 360 controller 3, can you or have you pressed the jump button? We're just asking, hey, player 1, have you pressed the jump button? And the benefit of that is that we don't need to care about what controller is like pressing the button. We just have to care, oh yeah, the player is pressing the button. Makes it super, super easy to figure out, or to have it so that you can just have generic press A to jump, or things like that inside of code, especially to figure out what exactly you're trying to do. So one of the tricky terms that a lot of people get confused with is action categories. Action categories are basically just organizational tools, and they will not affect anything that you do. But action categories are basically just, say you have a menu list of actions, or you have a vehicle, like you're in a car, list of actions, or you have I'm on foot list of actions. You can organize that for yourself so that you can understand what's going on, not necessarily the like anything that'll affect the actual code or trying to understand things. But yeah, so action categories, I would highly recommend using them just so that you can understand all the different things. Otherwise, it would just be a huge list. Like, say that you have a menu, all these menu actions, like, oh, I'm gonna submit or cancel, and and things like that. And then you also have, oh yes, I'm gonna drive a car and do all these things, and oh, I'm gonna fly a plane, and I'm gonna do. It's just gonna be a huge list. I would organize that up so that you understand what's going on. Map categories are the things that action categories get confused with. So map categories are more, they are the different types of modes that I was just referencing, like it's on a menu, or this is a menu thing, this is on foot, this is for vehicle stuff. But the main power of the map categories is that you can toggle these on and off, so that you can be like, okay, you can't press any menu controls right now because you're in the middle of playing the game, or you're like in gameplay. So that's super useful to make it so that you don't accidentally like pause the game if you're already paused, or you're not even in the pause menu. You're in like the splash screen, and you're just saying like, well, press A to start. You're not accidentally driving a car or something like that. So that's really nice to do that, and that is something that even me personally that I need to utilize more of in order to do. The other thing that you might also have gotten a little bit confused on is layouts. So these are like controller layouts. So really just think of these things as like, oh, this is like, oh yeah, I'm lefty, so I'll have the lefty layout, or I'll do inverted, so that like my up is down and down is up and stuff like that, or like southpaw, things like that. So they're just like different layouts that you can have for your controller and things. All right, and then controller maps. So this is probably where like the most stuff is going to happen. This is where if you looked at Rewired and you're like, all right, and you've downloaded it and whatnot and installed it in your project, this is probably the screen that you're going to want to look at the most, is because this is where you basically assign the actions to the controllers. And ideally, you will be assigning these actions to generic templates. Generic templates are like, this is a generic gamepad. So it'll have the basic layout of what an Xbox controller is, but it doesn't have to be an Xbox controller. It just has to be like a generic thing like that. So in that regard, it's really nice to be able to just be like, all right, the bottom button, that is normally the A button on Xbox, or the cross button on the PS4, or what have you. Like the bottom button will do this, or the shoulder button will do that. That is where the controller map comes in. So it's super useful to be very generic, but it's also useful to do some more specific controllers, which I'll get into when I'm showing the examples. All right, custom controllers are something that you might not have to interact with unless you're doing something with mobile or with the special hardware. So touch controls and eye tracking would fall under this, where Rewired actually supports having in-game touch controls, so you can have buttons and joysticks and whatnot. Or you can create your own, or make another custom controller where you can basically put in the or make a controller map basically, and then you would be able to say like, okay, the pause button, the touch pause button is this, and it'll do this. So it's really nice to be able to basically you're making it so that it will act the same as every other controller that Rewired detects, except you made it. And again, that'll really be more based off of whatever you're trying to, or if you have like special hardware, or hardware that isn't covered in what Rewired does. But Rewired supports so many different controllers. I want to say the last time I checked, there's 190 controllers that it supports, in addition to like the 7 or 8 different like generic like template controllers and stuff. And then the final one is that the final one is that we have input behaviors. So these are largely just like, oh, I can adjust the sensitivity, I can adjust the double press speed, and things like that. Not really going to be touching this too much, or like adding in different ones here, at least in my experience. But it is nice to have. So I'm going to switch over and show an example of a Rewired project, or Rewired NA project. So this is distant transmission. But so yeah, this is what Rewired looks like. This is the most up-to-date Rewired version. And as you can see, it supports so many different platforms over here on the left side. So yeah, there's a lot that you can do in terms of like, yeah, being able to support iOS, or being able to support the PS Vita and things like that. So a couple of tips and tricks here. One tip that you can do if you have a single player game is to, when you're on the screen, max out your joysticks per player to be like 100 whatever. Rewired will automatically hook a controller and auto assign a joystick to a player. And if you have it so that over 100 joysticks can be on that player, it doesn't matter if you have it like 3 different controllers plugged into your computer, all of them will work. So do that, and that'll make it so that it'll make life a lot easier on yourself. All right. So yeah, as I'll quickly walk over this super fast, but it's largely just, yeah. So we have in distant transmission, it is a 2-player co-op platformer, or puzzle platformer, and so there are 2 different players. So I have 2 different players. Each player has a thing, which is a joystick map, which is that controller map that I was talking about. And in this case, all of them have like, yeah, they have a joystick map. They also have a keyboard map as well. And these are largely just things that are just saying like, oh yes, this is what the A button does. This is what the shoulder button does. Things like that. All right. So I will jump over to the joysticks map. Oh no, it sounds like my voice is super fuzzy. Are things sounding all right? Okay, I will turn down the gain. All right, how's that? Maybe it is a Martin issue, but yeah, I can still keep going well if you're saying it's not too bad. All right, but yeah, so just a quick overview of what a joystick map is. It is basically here is what I was talking about gamepad templates. So I just have a generic template that is like, this is what a gamepad would look like, whether it be an Xbox controller or whatnot. I'm able to just have one for every type of thing. I'll scroll down. Oh, it's down to 166. Sorry about that. 166 different joysticks that it supports. But so yeah, it'll just be a generic one for all of these different controllers that are more specific. But you're able to have it so that here, if I click in this map category, which is gameplay, so this is when you're actually playing the game. I just have a list of different buttons that you can press. So like you can move left and right, you can look left and right, and stuff like that. The bottom row, which it would be the A button on an Xbox controller, is jump. The top row, which would be, or top row 1, which would be the X button, or the X button on an Xbox controller, and such. So yeah, moving on from there, it is very simple to go in here and add more actions. Like I mentioned before, action categories are specifically so that it's easier for you to understand. Oh yeah, this is what this is for. So I have I have 2 different action categories: gameplay and menu. I can go in here and say yes, the action top row will be vertical. Notice that I can choose menu even in the map category. Again, it doesn't really matter. It is more for you to understand what is going on. And you can, again, this is just one way of handling map categories. You can change the gameplay stuff. It doesn't have to like tie to like gameplay and menu and things like that. Choose what's best for your game. All right, but I'll get rid of that. So one other thing that I was going to show you is one tip that I want to show is that it's really good to have an unknown controller template, and that is largely just if Rewired's like, I have no idea what this controller is, it will switch and default to this unknown controller template. So I wanted to step through this really quickly and basically make a controller map real quick. So I'm going to just, so basically in this scenario, you have no idea what this controller is. You're going to be guessing what buttons do where. So I'm going to create a controller map, and then I'm going to make a new element. And then there's a whole list of like the most generic buttons and things in here. Really, we only want 3 different things. We want axis 0. We'll make another element real quick. We want axis 1, and then we'll make button 0. So these 3 ones are really the ones that you're going to want to include, and this is largely just so that most controllers, even if they're like unknown and whatnot, their axis 0 and 1 are like their left stick, or whatever, or what have you. So I'm gonna make a so that you can move left and right in the menu, and then go in here. Oh, not invert axis, and then make it so that you can move up and down, and then finally make it so that you can submit. If you can also make another one on button 1 over here every time, button 1, and then have it so that you can also cancel, but it's not necessarily necessary because in my game you're able to just press the back button by submitting as well. But yeah, so that's one tip to do, is to have some type of unknown controller support so that you can understand that. And then I was also talking about having like it's also nice to have specific maps for specific controllers. This is when you want to use specific layouts, or if the controller that you want to support doesn't support like a traditional, oh yes, I look like an Xbox or PlayStation controller layout. So let's see, there we are. So I've also made Joy-Con support. Actually, so one thing that a lot of people don't actually know is that the Joy-Cons are actually Bluetooth controllers. So if you hold down the sync button on the Joy-Con for a while, you can then pair it to any like computer and whatnot and play using your Joy-Con. It's a nice trick, but they don't fall under the traditional controller. So I just have some special Joy-Con controller support using this stuff. So, all right. So with that, I'll give you a real quick demonstration of it working in game, and some of the benefits that you can get from doing so. So as you can see, I'm able to, or it says press return to start. Here we go. Press return to start. But you can see that like I'm moving my mouse around. One of the other benefits and other features that you can utilize for Rewired is to be able to change that and make it so that it changes based off of what you're touching. So I'm going to move my PS4 controller, and it says press X to start. And then I also have a Joy-Con connected. Now it says press right button to start. So it's really nice to be able to do that and things like that. Another thing that Rewired does support is Rumble. So you can also do easy Rumble and not have to do Rumble based off of, I think you are controller 3, so I'm going to rumble you. You can just say, hey, player 2, Rumble. It is really, really nice. And then the other big thing is that you're able to rebind controllers. So here I'm able to see like, oh yeah, here's my keyboard and controller stuff. And if I wanted to, I can go in here and say, rebind my controls, right, left, and I'll do the your standard identical. I don't know what the words verbiage of that is. Yeah, you will be able to rebind your controls and be based off of however you want and stuff like that. But yeah, as you can see, again, you can change up like, oh yeah, I want to have the second player be this, or first player be this controller, and things like that. Or you can do the press A to join scenario, where like it just there's a generic prop that says press A to join, or press whatever the last controller is that you used, and then it'll just automatically assign it to that player and stuff like that. So I believe it can rumble in high definition. I think you would have to ask my brother on that, because he worked on rumble in high definition on Treasure Stack. All right. So with all of that, I will switch back over to my presentation. And there's a ton of other features that Rewired does. Like I mentioned, there's controller glyphs. That's what the A, B, right button, things like that. That's what all those things are. And again, it's really nice to be able to, it's really nice to be able to have that react to that. And if you look at this GIF, you're also able to see that each player still retains what they were using on each of their prompts. Like the Xbox version still says A and B to leave, while the keyboard version says space and control, so on and so forth. Like I mentioned, you can rebind controls. Rewired also like basically supplies a default rebinding control, but it's actually not too difficult to make your own UI solution. It wasn't too hard to do that. It was more difficult to just make it look good and be easy to understand and whatnot. But Rewired does also have its own generic rebind control stuff, so it's really nice for like game jams and things. And Rewired also has Rumble. I didn't know what a good Rumble GIF would be, so I just chose this one with a bunch of screen shake on stuff. So yeah, it's a lot more of you can do different like intensities of Rumble and stuff like that. And then it also supports tilt and touch controls. This is actually something that a lot of people don't know, is that it has built-in touch controls. A lot of people probably get it get Rewired for like, oh, I want it so that I can do hot swapping, and oh, I can do multi-platform stuff. It supports a bunch of different things, but it also supports a ton of touch control things. Like you can see here, there is a virtual joystick, and then there's a button up in the upper left-hand corner where you're able to pause the game. No, that is not your phone. Calm down, bro. So another thing that a lot of that is a quick tip slash really strong suggestion is to utilize the Rewired's UI event system. So a lot of times, I guess in a lot of the projects that I've like jumped on in, the Rewired is used for like all of the gameplay things. Anything's inside of the scene that you're like moving around in the cars and whatnot or something like that. Or you're flying a plane. I don't know what you're doing in your game. But you're doing all of that stuff. But as soon as you move over to the menu stuff, you are no longer using Rewired. And that is a big, that is something that Rewired actually does support. It has its own Rewired event system, so that you're still using Rewired while you're using the main or your menus and things. And it's actually really easy to switch them out. Rewired just has a drop down where you can just click use Rewired Unity or UI event system. Lane, I'm not entirely sure why the fish are inside of submarines. There's no lore that is discussing that, so I'm unfortunately at a bind here. But we're gonna move on. So there are user. So there's also user preferences. I also didn't have much of a GIF here, so I have jumping characters. This is largely so that if you make any changes, if you're like, okay, I want to rebind my controls, I want to change these sensitivity to be this, I want to do all these things, I want to be able to save it. Rewired has a really easy script that you can just put in your game, and it'll just automatically save all the user's preferences in a player pref and such. So it's super nice. And then there's also special controller support. And this is like in this video, there's I'm using a PS4 controller, and that supports tilt controls. So I was able to plug it into my computer and be able to have tilt controls. I also was able to, Rewired also supports the light bar on the back. You know, the thing that everybody loves. But you're actually able to utilize it in a more effective way and such. So actually, in HyperDot, you're able to, if you get hit, it'll flash red, or it'll change based off of whatever color you are, or if you collect a token, then it'll flash yellow, and things like that. So yeah, so that is a general overview of what Rewired is and a couple of tips and tricks. Really, the main things are make sure that you're trying to make it so that Rewired is like doing the things that that you were actually trying to do, versus you're obfuscating what Rewired wanted. I guess obfuscating what Rewired could do to things like oh no, I'll manage that. I definitely encourage you to try and make it so that you are the one trying to do, or Rewired is the one trying to do all the stuff, rather than you trying to change the, you trying to recreate Rewired on top of a Rewired, which is a lot of stuff in there. But yeah, so I guess if we have any other quick questions, I can try and answer those. But you can find me on Twitter at Tribe Games, or me personally at DarkHazeTG. And then yeah. Yes. So yes, there are a couple of ways to be able to copy a couple of I guess I should probably restate the question. Are there a couple of ways to copy elements from one controller to another controller map? Yes, there are a couple of ways to be able to do that. You're able to so all of the controller map things are actually just assets inside of your project. So you would be able to copy that, and then you just have to supply the GUID, which is the ID for what that hardware is. There's a huge list of that on the Rewired website, so that you'd be able to do that. But yeah, you'd be able to have it so that like you can copy that and then bring it over. That way you don't have to keep on copy and paste or like doing it over and over and over and such. All right. Oh, yes. Why should one, or just a real quick clarification on why should somebody have 100 possible joysticks? It is largely just because if you have more than one joystick plugged into your computer, then you would want to have it so that, or then it will be like all 3 of them will work versus one of them will work at random. So if you have 100 joysticks, then yeah, that would be, or then you'd be having, I had I had my PlayStation 4 controller, I have a Joy-Con, and I have an Xbox controller over here. I also have a Switch Pro controller, but that's not actually connected to the computer. But yeah, all of those, if you plug them all into the computer, they all would work. Oh, thank you. All right. Well, I think that wraps everything up. I'll hand it back over to Martin. Yeah. Woo. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, dude, can you hear me? Oh, man, can you jack my volume up? Oh, yeah, I need to share my screen, huh?
Oh my gosh, I just realized no one could hear me again because I forgot to unmute myself and I'm an idiot. Uh, so, yeah, good. More like mutant. Good times. I am terrible about remembering to unmute myself, apparently. What's funny is that like the Twitch Studio will actually give me this little blue pop down that comes down, but it's just noise because it's like constantly going off saying like, "Are you trying to speak right now? Are you trying to speak right now? Are you sure you're trying to not speak right now?" So it's always doing it. Yeah. Okay. Give me just a second. I will switch to Ty's screen. Awesome. I actually think I just noticed that there's a button I can press that will hide the people. Oh, that's not right. No, that's not right either. I just did this. Which one was I doing? Not that one either. It must have been this one, and it's lost its settings. So good times. Have to go change it.
Am I on video?
You're not on yet. Just give me a second. Sorry.
Okay.
Is that?
I don't want to do anything video.
What was that? You know what? You're really quiet. I don't know if is it just me? Does anyone else want to chime in? I think you're super quiet. Oh, I found the right window.
How about now? Is that better? Do I just need to like talk super loud?
I think you may. I think it's still pretty quiet.
All right, one sec. Doing it live.
Do it. I'm also trying to adjust the. Like this is like a huge amount of white space, although it's black on the left, and I don't really get it. Why I fail as a Twitch streamer. This is not my bailiwick, guys. I'm sorry.
Is it gonna be all jacked up like that?
It's not. It's like weirdly adjusted. Like there's just like a lot of white space on the left for some reason. I don't really get it. I don't know why. Wait, maybe I'm starting to figure it out. Is that better? That's better. A little bit. 2020. I'm blaming 2020. I mean, we wouldn't have any of these issues if we were in person. It would just be connecting the to the HDMI. Like we'd be troubleshooting one HDMI cable for the same amount of time. Okay. Yeah, projector. Oh yeah. Wait, what's happening? I'm being called by you? What's happening? Are we? You're not there anymore. Shoot.
Can you hear me? Oh!
I don't know what exactly needs to change about that. One of them needs to be muted. I assume like none of these guys are presenting anything, so I can't pop out yet.
Can you hear me better now?
Oh yeah, you're yes, I think so.
Okay, rad.
Not me. It could still be louder, but it's much better.
Oh, I can talk way louder.
Oh yeah.
And then, good lord. Okay.
Imagine I'm just like doing a little dance in front of the podium, like dancing for time.
Dude, can you not mute this? What's going on here? All right, that's fine. Well, you can hear me fine, right?
I can. I don't. I'm not seeing anything yet, though.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. But no one's presenting. Do I need to? Oh, watch stream maybe. Yes, I'm seeing it. But IGDA but the stream isn't yet. Hold on. Maybe someday it will happen. I don't know why this Twitch Studio app like sometimes remembers and sometimes doesn't. It's like pretty dumb about it. Okay, there you are. I'm gonna just let Ty take it away. Thanks, Ty.
All right. We're all shared up. All right. Let me turn this down. All right. So. Super awkward with no audience. Okay, so this talk is about Wallride, our studio, kind of what we've been up to lately, some of our recent projects, and some other stuff going on. Yes, please put on a seatbelt. All right, so hello, folks. I'm Ty Burks. I am co-owner of Wallride with Nathan Shorts. Shout out in the chat. He was art director on Toe Jam Neural. So I'm the game director, co-owner. We started this company like a year ago. So we've been up to all kinds of different stuff. I've been making games for a really long time. I was a creative director at Gravec, did a bunch of mobile games, did some stuff for Disney, did a game about ribbons called Strata. And then I was creative lead at Alchemy Labs on Job Simulator and Rick and Morty Virtual Reality we did with Justin Roiland and Adult Swim. But yeah, after that, I worked at a creative studio downtown for a couple years, and then I kind of started this when Nathan sent me a weird photo of a grandma and a baby in a bathtub. I and we'll just leave it like that. So, Wallride. God, this is honestly so weird with no people. Okay. So, Wallride. We started this company based around kind of three main things. Video games, virtual worlds, rad experiences. So video games, we come from traditional games, mobile games, whatever kind of medium. We just kind of want to do it all. We're up for contract. We help other teams on games. We just want to make cool stuff. Virtual worlds, we have a lot of experience, not only, from my experience with the whole team, shout out to Ben and David, our lead devs, they worked on a ton of VR projects for big clients and stuff. So we do all kinds of virtual reality, weird prototypes and original games and client work that we'll show here. And then the last section, rad experiences, not quite as much of that in 2020, but we do, some experiential stuff. You go to an event and there's like something to play or whatever, some kind of weird hardware kind of stuff. So we're also really into that. But yeah, not so many people going out to do that lately. But yeah, we do selective client work to fund our own projects. We put ourselves out there and try to get work that we think is cool. We're about 10 people right now. I think about 10 people. All different experience. 3D artists, traditional artists, programmers. And yeah, we're a very serious business, though. We take ourselves and everything very seriously. So. Yeah, let's take a look at these projects. We got all kinds of stuff here. That was my VR face, working on VR. We gotta check the Unity screen. All right, so first project. Let's see. Steps of Privilege. We teamed up with REM5. If you don't know, REM5 is in St. Louis Park. I'm not going to call them a VR arcade. They are honestly so much more than that. They are like a VR experiential laboratory where you can go and like rent pods and play all kinds of different VR experiences from their menus and stuff. And honestly, they do so much for getting people in headsets, and they just care a lot about VR. It's awesome to work with them. So we did like a prototype called Steps of Privilege, which is essentially a privilege walk in VR for the Quest. So if you don't know what that is, it's like kind of thing where people line up and like a moderator asks a question, like if you grew up with both parents, take a step forward. And then kind of you get to gauge kind of your privilege throughout your life. But the goal here with the VR version was, if people are hesitant to actually answer and check themselves and whatever, this might be a little more private way to do it, which is pretty cool. We also integrated some hand tracking with the Quest, which was pretty awesome. That worked with their menus and stuff, gather some data, which is really cool. And then, you kind of fill out like a little census thing just so we can like kind of, I don't know, it's really interesting stuff. And but definitely check out REM5 if you're into VR and stuff. They're great. Honestly, of all the places that like you can go and play VR, like it's probably the nicest. It is the nicest that I've seen, for real. They have really good beer and pizza and everything too. Okay, so Steps of Privilege. That was fun. Thank you for that link. Pet Threat VR. I'm just gonna play this trailer before I explain this one. So we're gonna switch windows. Oh dear.
Elaine Co.
Let me know if y'all are hearing this too.
Tonight, a warning from veterinarians. Leptospirosis is passed from rats or other rodents to our dogs.
A new report says that the risk of Lyme disease is rapidly growing.
And if not treated quickly, it could be fatal.
With the effects of a changing climate, leptospirosis and Lyme disease were spreading faster than ever before. With newly at-risk doggos going unvaccinated, Elanco needed to promote the use of their life-saving vaccines, Ultra-Duramune and Duramune Lyme. But to quickly raise awareness of this shocking new threat, they needed a shocking idea to match. So we asked veterinarians to do the unthinkable. Become a perilous disease and infect the doggos they are sworn to protect. In the fully interactive 8-bit VR game, Pet Threat.
Vomiting, dehydration, increased urination, protected by Ultra-Duramune.
To launch Pet Threat, we took over VMX, the world's largest gathering of pet experts, transforming veterinarians into carriers of the latest science and education.
This is the coolest thing ever!
With a shockingly unexpected VR experience.
It was amazing. Funnest game here at the convention.
The educational aspect was wonderful. We got to see the clinical signs of some of the diseases.
Swelling of the joints, kidney failure.
That took veterinarians out of their comfort zone.
I feel like the way it was set up for us being the virus.
And expose them to an epidemic of education around a growing threat.
Lepto is not something that you only get out if you're in the wilderness, that it can happen in your backyard, and the video game really presents that story.
Transforming a game over into thousands of extra lives for man's best friend.
We'll switch that back. All right. So as Pet Threat VR, it's a pixel art arcade shooter inspired by Duck Hunt. Y'all played Duck Hunt. I mean, it's classic. Actually, the first level is super inspired by Duck Hunt. But essentially, it's kind of crazy. But you play as a tick and spirochete, and you shoot, you infect dogs. Forgot to share the screen. There we go. So, yeah, you infect dogs that pop up around we did like a 180 experience. So you infect the dogs and you try to get them all infected. You can do like combo shots and stuff, get as many as you can. And then you got to watch out for the ones that are protected by the vaccine here. So we worked with Cole McVoy, awesome agency in Minneapolis, and launched this quest game. It had a really cool leaderboard. So we had multiple quests and they would all kick out initials and scores to this like giant vertical TV leaderboard, and then at the end of the day, they would give out rad like pixel art pins and stuff. Is pretty cool. A little crop deer. Conference was in like January, I think. So it was like one of the last conferences. Yeah, it was a super fun project. Anyway, okay. We got about like 1,700 slides here, so we'll just kind of keep going. Yeah, we worked on Mall Brawl NES. So this was a fully functional NES cartridge. This is not like Shovel Knight or something. This was like legit is an NES cartridge. I think I'm still on video, but I have it right here. Hope I'm still on video. Anyway, check it out. Yeah, so it's like full on cartridge. You can blow it and everything. Really cool. So yeah, we worked with Interrobang and Spoonie Bard on that one. We came in to do some art and design, did a bunch of characters, a bunch of environment art, and had some input into the design, along with like a polish pass and stuff. So that launched as an NES cartridge, also on. Oh, that's okay. Well, you could pretend I was on video. You know what an NES cart looks like, right? But yeah, launched on Nintendo Switch also. So it's kind of a spin-off of their current project, Chronic Blunt Punch. If you haven't seen that, it's pretty awesome. All hand-drawn animation. Jay and Silent Bob beat 'em up from some people that know beat 'em ups really well. But yeah, this was a dream project, dude. I'm a huge Kevin Smith fan, huge Jay and Silent Bob fan. The whole team is, and it was super cool, man. Kevin Smith did some videos on his social media, and like Jay streamed it on Twitch. It was crazy, super cool. So actually, let me play that trailer for you. Oh god, we gotta switch. We're switching again. Here we go.
Have you seen the latest video game newsletter? Wow, nice graphics! I'd like to get my hands on that game. You mean you haven't played it yet? No!
We can play it on my console in the Nintendo Switch family. I hopped on the call to show you the game, dog. It's Jay and Silent Bob, the game is Mall Brawl. After being rats in the mall, they're AWOL. Now it's your call to go balls to the wall. Stuck in the mall with no time to shop. Dodge LaFours and his pesky rent-a-cops. If you're on the flow, bust a combo for show. KO all your foes until they hit the flow. You can punch, you can kick, you can do a backflip. Silent Bob likes to use the spinning lariat. There are gaggles of enemies that you can battle. Movie is cattle that'll make your brain rattle. Got brooms and sticks, bras that snap. Brawl with your fists or use a weapon to attack. If you're caught in a corner, use a sock full of quarters to attack the skateboarders if they're acting out of order. Be cautious with the bosses cause some are really tough. You better duck the goalie or I'll hit you with the puck. Some are kinda crazy like a horse with Patrick Swayze. Please don't hit the ladies with the strollers and the babies. Play with yourself or a friend on the couch. Jay and Silent Bob, Mall Brawl, and I'm out. Word.
Awesome! Intense!
Jay and Silent Bob, Mall Brawl. Your mama helps you hook it up.
Mall Brawl.
Oh jeez. Okay. Alright. Let's see. Switch it back here. So that was that was a super fun project. That was our homie Justin doing that rap there. Is amazing. So here's an example of some pixel art from that. If I just share some of that. This was translating the quick stop into pixel art form. So I mean, I felt like I knew it pretty well from watching movies since I was like 15 or something. Probably younger than that. Sorry, Mom. But you can see here super lo-fi, black and white pixel art, 4-tone. Like that looks great. Probably not that hard, huh? So you realize that you need to fit the entire level on a 128 by 128 pixel sprite sheet. So that whole scene, this is actually a different level, but pretty much the entirety of the level needs to fit on that. So it's a lot of me zooming into 16 by 16 pixels, moving a pixel, and then the whole level's exploded. And so they did 4 palette swap, and all that was done in code, and it's pretty amazing. But this was honestly like fun fact. I've never really done pixel art that much, but just kind of dove right into like the hardest possible way to learn pixel art. But if you want to know more about NES, ask Scott. I will not be answering any technical questions beyond making sprites and characters. But it was really challenging and really fun. So that's on Steam if y'all want to check that game out. It's super fun 2-player co-op. And then one thing that didn't quite happen, unfortunately, in April, our homies at Modest, they had their 4th anniversary. We actually made something really freaking cool. And it just, with everything going on, didn't quite happen. So we're holding on to that, and hopefully we can share that again sometime soon. But shout out to Modest. We love Modest. So the final thing that we're kind of working on too is a super amazing, secret huge VR project for a great cause, which we'll be able to share pretty soon. But it's been really fun, and the whole team is stoked on it. And honestly, we can't wait to share it. It's really cool. And that's all I'm gonna say about that one. Also, I want that headset. But yeah, I mean, based on all of this, we're projecting, more Wallride per capita, as this chart shows. So, these are all projections. So, okay. Intermission. I was told there was supposed to be an intermission. Totally joking. So this is actually a wall ride, if you can, but an actual wall ride, not the game studio. All right, let's dive into some deeper stuff here. How are we doing on time? Good. There's only like 1,300 more slides. Okay, so Elementals, post-launch thoughts. So this is like kind of a post-mortem, kind of just like a trip down memory lane, kind of just a fun look at like a game that took a really long time to finally release. So what is Elementals? Let's find out. There we go. This might blow your speakers up. Okay. We are back. What is Elementals? Elementals is a 2 to 4 player local multiplayer game where you play as demonic metalheads with elemental powers. You chuck shards at each other. When you run out of ammo, you have to mash the headbang button to generate more ammo. When you take a shard to the face and die, your soul explodes out of your body and heads towards the top of the screen. You need to mash that headbang button again to pull your soul back to your body, of course. But every time you die, it gets harder and harder to pull your soul back. It's all about just chaos action based on the world of death metal. It's craziness. So, 2014. What a year. That's when, look at that guy. Just, he has hair. He has so much potential in his eyes. You can just see. Me and Russ, shout out to Russ, made the original Elementals prototype that we brought out to some events back then. Different time, man. Basically, wanted to make something for myself, quit my job, started a studio. We were gonna get Elementals published. I mean, it's super easy, right, y'all? Yeah. So, 2014, huh? Yeah. We launched April 24th, 2020. That is just shy of 6 years later. Yeah, it's pretty crazy to have something like that in your mind for so long. You know, to be fair, you know, it was on and off development. You know, developer fatigue makes you want to start over. You know, we probably started over from scratch like 4 times, redid the entire art direction 3 times. You know, I moved and made 2 like major VR games. I had 2 kids. I mean, stuff happens in a long, you know, in 6 years. But something about this game, man, I just there's something there, and I wanted to fulfill it, so we did it. Anyway, finally launched April 24th. So back to 2014. This is a shot of one of the first playable demos. It's funny how it kind of goes full circle a little bit, but you know, there's a lot. I mean, I can nitpick this out. There's a lot more detail and stuff than in the final game. But back in 2014, the original design, you know, I was really all about like the unconventional actions on buttons, where there's a button to do this, so there's a button to, you know, I think Duck Game had like a quack button, which I think was later, a couple years later maybe, but they had a quack button. I thought that was hilarious. So I was really into that. You know, I thought it'd be really funny to have a button to headbang, you know, not even thinking about it being a musical game or anything. And at that time, you know, the local multiplayer scene, you know, was sizzling. You had Towerfall, remember that game? Samurai Gun, you know, it was all about the local multiplayer scene. So of course, you know, let's do that too. I've also, you know, up until that point in my career, I had only ever made E for Everyone games. Only ever made E for Everyone games. You know, so I you know, a lot of Disney stuff, abstract games about ribbons and whatnot. You know, I love that, but you know, I wanted to do more art. It wasn't necessarily what I drew. I wanted to get edgy. So give it a shot, you know. But yeah, so at the end of these slides, I'm trying to put like a little kind of conclusion or something there. But yeah, this one's like follow your dreams. With an asterisk that says with financial backing, a sound business mind, contingency plans, and a supportive network, which didn't have any of those in 2014. Just gonna also throw in, you know, between some of these, just some fun slides of like, you know, some artwork and stuff. This was just like a quick, you know, how the logo came together. I still am a huge fan of the top middle one and the top right, but it didn't. It was just too crazy, you know. When you design a logo, it needs to work big, small, whatever. There's too much detail and stuff, but still really like those designs. So. This was a shot from Combo Breaker back in the day. But yeah, once you we made this prototype. Now you want to lock in the theme. You know, we found the headbanging button was hilarious. It kind of led to the death metal theme. You know, what kind of music should it be? Whatever. What do you headbang to? We felt that was kind of niche, you know, but we wanted it to be like death metal, but more like inspired by the world of metal, just the craziness and stuff, and not like super like stereotypical. Like we didn't want to go like full Brutal Legend where there's like everything is speakers and guitars and stuff. You know, it was more like when someone goes, "Oh, that's metal." So it was a little more based on that. We also kind of rounded the edges a little bit, made it a little more cartoony and vibrant, just to help kind of stand out in the store. You know, I always used to say that it was like an Adventure Time episode based on death metal, I guess. But yeah, I mean, once we kind of locked all that in, like at that point, it was like everything should reflect the theme. You know, like every aspect of this game should feed into that. Every UI element should hit. Everything explodes. Everything hits super hard. everything's just like chaotic. I think what helped was kind of defining the game with like a few words, like just saying like chaotic, explosive, sharp, or so. I can't remember what the exact words were, but really helps you kind of check all your design decisions against something like that in your game. If you want to create a game that's very like when we made Strata, it was like elegant and crap, I can't remember the other one, but it was like every time we made something, we kind of checked it against those words to make sure it had that feel. And if you can make anything your particle effects and whatever, if there's anything you can do to polish it towards that direction, that's good. But yeah, it's essentially find your game's voice and shout it. Everything should reflect that. Here's some examples of that from older version of Elementals, but the top left is still so awesome. We had this like skull UI thing in the corner that when it was ready, it would just like stretch open the brain and slam shut. And then the bottom right there, that character select stayed 6 years later and is in the game, where you break out of a statue thing, and then if you back out, it slams on your body. So I mean, we really tried to just push as far as it goes. So the main mechanics in this game. So this shot was like iteration 2.5 or something, man. I tried to go a little more flat images, but it was like a little too goofy, like Flash looking for me. But yeah, the main mechanics here, you have your core mechanics. We have, run and jump, the dash. So basically if you just, originally there was a dash button, and because the game was so crazy, we tried to reduce the mental load of number of buttons and stuff. So we made it so that you had to jump and then press jump again and hold it down, and you can kind of dash and draw your character around in any direction, and they'll kind of launch off in that way. Throwing shards, and then when you die, you mash that same headbang button to return your soul. So I mean, those are like the core mechanics. That's exactly what you need to know to play the game. And then going off of that, we have our advanced maneuvers. There's a dash fake out where you can, if you're dashing, you can like stop and change direction instantly. And you can get really good at like dashing and stopping your momentum or changing directions, fake people out. The dash deflection was, we made it so you can dash into a shard and bounce it back at people. The crash was if two people are dashing into each other, they bounce off in opposite directions. So it's kind of like joust a little bit. Like if you're a little higher, you can kind of dunk them into the lava with a good dash. Shard cancel was knowing that shards will cancel each other out if they hit each other. So if you have more ammo, you can just kind of like unleash on someone and take them over. And then the charge shot came kind of later, where if you have all three of your shards, you can charge them up into a big ol' blast. I'll show you that later. But basically this was showing, we had these core mechanics and all these advanced things. Some of them were kind of emergent, but some of them just kind of came later as we play tested and played the game and talked and whatever. So you kind of, be open to that and iterating and stuff. Layering the use of your mechanics can also create depth. Like if you can use the dash for several things, if you can use the shard for several things, I think that can just create awesome depth in your game. There's a shot from GlitchCon 2018 or something, 18 or 19. We won an award for Elementals. But yeah, huge shout out to Ben. Ben is a lead dev at Wallride and was the sole programmer on Elementals. I mean, the dude made it happen. So huge thanks and shout out to Ben on that project. So soundtrack. Soundtrack. Yeah, we worked with the legendary Fat Bard on this game. If you don't know Fat Bard, they are honestly like crazy good. Music, sound effects. They did all the Fmod integration stuff. They worked on like Crash Lands and Battle Chef Brigade and Level Up. I mean, just like a ton of games. And it is definitely a gun flute, and it's awesome. So yeah, in Elementals, you know, we worked with them, coming up with some crazy ways we could integrate audio. All of the sound effects are kind of nudged to line up with the music, so everything kind of layers and sounds super fluid and builds on each other. It's honestly crazy. If you want to check out the soundtrack, it's on Spotify. It's a super good synth metal soundtrack. I think it's good work and music. But yeah, just search Elementals on Spotify. Actually, search Fatbar because they have all their soundtracks on there. But yeah, honestly, don't underestimate how much great sound and music can elevate your game. I mean, once we started getting the actual sound effects in there, it was like a totally different game. So just don't underestimate that. And working with people that are awesome and know what they're doing, it is awesome. So, still good on time, 8:15. All right. There's only like 720 left. Deadly Realms. So, we launched with 3 environments. You know, the environments we kind of began with just like rough ideas and color palettes. Super important to me was foreground and background readability. So all of our backgrounds are pushed back, they're faded a bit. The game is so crazy, we really didn't want the game is so crazy and there's so many particle effects that I refuse to tone down, that we really wanted to keep the players able to focus and parse the foreground and background stuff, and keep the focus on the gameplay. Something I did quite a bit of was always doing like a tone check, you know, like dropping it to black and white and just making sure like we had enough contrast and everything. Each level only had a few unique traps. A lot of them were recurring, so that because our game play time was so short, we didn't want to overwhelm people with not totally understanding what was going on. So there's recurring traps, but each realm consists of 10 levels, and they were all kind of designed in unique ways. I wish I had a visual of this, but we actually used 9-slice graphics for the ground pieces instead of like tile maps. So yeah, you can see in that shot, like the ground down there is just like a tiled 9-slice. So it was really helpful for blocking out levels really quick. I don't know if I'd use it again. I think I would use maybe not quite 9-slice. I don't know. I'd do some kind of, we ended up having a pretty square base to the game, but it fit. I mean, there's so many decisions that were made. It fit with the wall sliding, and it fit with the way that we made characters. So we kind of kept it and did everything we could to kind of break up that kind of perpendicular look. Anyway, 9-slice. That was kind of crazy. But yeah, we also utilized sprite layers quite a bit. It's quite a bit. We had our background, our midground, the floor, the front of the player, back of the player, far foreground, whatever. If you are making a 2D game in Unity, absolutely look into sprite sorting layers. And then we kind of did a thing. Let me see if I have it right here. I do, and it's not worth switching over. We did a pretty cool thing too to make sure that we didn't miss anything. I think we posted it to our Twitter a while ago, but sometimes you miss a sprite. It's not labeled the right layer. If you create, it goes to default layer, which is on top of everything. So if you create a sprite, just like a big lime green block, and set it to default -1, you can drag it around the scene, and anything that's set at default on accident will be on top of that green sprite. So just a little interesting tip there. But yeah, you know, art and design, I feel like should always work in harmony with the gameplay. You know, even as an artist, gameplay is always king to me. So as long as the game makes sense and remains intuitive, and you can parse the info, I think, yeah, it'll be good. Oh boy, okay. This was, I'm not going to look at this too much. It's overwhelming. This was like a reference, like mood board thing, just creating environments. And honestly, a lot of this is from Skyrim, I think. But just in terms of like finding cool shapes and stuff, you know, a lot of this I didn't really care for like the content. I just was really interested in a lot of the silhouettes that were made, especially with like how gnarly you can get horns and stuff. But yeah, I you know, this is kind of where I started. I'd throw together like a bunch of cool references and stuff and circle things and put them together. And then we would kind of go into, all right, I'm going to design like 50 levels and like we're going to dump 45 of them. You know, a lot of these levels were all about, kind of had one gag or something. They were more like like the really goofy levels in Smash Bros. Instead of like a full environment that you could build 10 levels out of. But yeah, I mean, just brainstorm. I mean, who knows? I mean, you just come up with as much stuff as possible, and because if you just go with the first 2-3 things, they're going to be the first the first couple things you know that everyone thinks of. Yeah, that top right one was pretty dope. I wish I had that video. That was like an underground cave level where this giant beast would like is kind of influenced by Castle Crashers, where the giant cat chases you with the deer. So like it kind of just like chases you through the level and then goes away and then chases you back through the level. But it was kind of like, all right, that's kind of just like one gag, and we kind of make one level out of it. We wanted to make like multiple environments with multiple levels. And as well, that'd be a lot of work for that one level. Anyway, yes, I mean, I could go into every single one of these. There, you know, just brainstorm. And then going from that, you know, picking the cool ones, the ones that have the most versatility, and then like I would just kind of block in like colors and just make sure that like they were kind of different enough. You know, if you look at this one, like Burial Caverns and Blood Chasm, which are not the launch titles, those are pretty similar. But Shank Pit was cool, and then I still kind of like whatever this Celeste level was. I really liked that one. But yeah, blocking in the colors, figuring out background, foreground, whatever, making sure they read. And then if something resonates with you, like take it to the next level. So I really liked this Shank Pit concept. So we're going to take that. Let's start blocking in like some colors. What's the story here? It's like in a desert and it's hot as hell and whatever. But you can see like that top left one was going to be Shank Pit for so long. And we kind of realized, you know, thinking back to talking about art and gameplay working in harmony, we realized that our game has so many emissive effects and particle effects and whatever, and the characters are so vibrant that putting them on a bright and vibrant background made it really hard to parse the gameplay and what's going on. So we realized that kind of all of our levels need to have like a darker background and then a really vibrant foreground. So worked through that and eventually landed on kind of the bottom right one. That's like a desert ruin kind of thing, but it's at sunset. So that purple sky worked really well with the orange ground I wanted to do. So yeah, we went with that, but still really like this. This turned out pretty cool. But yeah, it honestly, seeing it on my monitor right here just burns my eyes. But I really like how that looked. Not for this game though. So anyway, this was the final Shank Pit. Well, I got a little artifact going on there, but yeah, the darker backgrounds just help all of the foreground pop. super well. At the elementals, so the characters, talk a little bit about the character stuff and how we designed those. I think we're down to like 300 slides left. Okay, so the elementals, all the characters were based on like metal elements, you know, just like edgy ass, like you know, like metal stuff. Instead of just doing like fire, ice, whatever. You know, there's some other characters that were like ecto and darkness and like hatred and stuff. They were pretty funny. But yeah, all the characters have you know, the same attributes. They have all the same hitboxes and whatever for balance sake. You know, once again in play testing, you know, realizing the game is so frantic and crazy and stuff. We didn't want to start worrying about balancing on top of that. So we went through a lot of, I seriously went through so many character designs and eventually kind of came to the realization that like the on-screen size needs to determine the detail. So I loop back, and I'll go into this in a second actually, but like just something to remember, like looking at your characters in context and at size in your game will determine the amount of honestly, the amount of work you need to put into character sprite. Silhouettes are super important. You know, as with any other game, you know, we ended up with doing really flat color, simple design, but it was all about the animation, the particles and the animation and creating that like super fluid. And yeah, that Napalm character, who actually I think launched as Inferno, but I mean, that was the first character in the very first prototype 6 years ago and just like stayed in the game somehow. I think it was like Napalm, then it was the Half Demon, and then it was Hellfire and Inferno and whatever. Super OG. But yeah, always make sure when you're doing character designs, you test them out in context and at size. Because I think there was an iteration with these characters too where I had like line art and texture and stuff, and it was like you can't even, it's literally like 100 pixels on the screen. So this is like 1/4 of all the character concept stuff. This is a cool look at. I think the earliest ones were at the very bottom. You can see, yeah, we like severely limited their palettes, and then some of them I wasn't super feeling, so we kind of, you know, enhanced them a bit. Like the mineral guy, he turned into corrosion and like gave him more intense features and stuff. Bone, you know, yeah, I got a major overhaul. I still want to do the metal character, man, the Goro looking dude. I love that guy. But yeah, you can see, you know, working through the characters and not like doing one character and being like, oh, this looks awesome. It's like always just keep exploring. You know, you don't know what you'll find. Even if it's subtle, you know, all these Ash characters on the side. I mean, you can see from the top, kind of the middle top, there's like this super haggard Ash sketch that's like super janky, but he had these like hulking wrists, and it's like, all right, I like that feature. I like that feature. Let's go from there. And you just kind of build on it and see where it can go until you're happy with it. So yeah, character sketches. Oh, and then the one that's sticking out at the top left, that was the original Ash character in like the OG design, and I still really like that character. Kind of has like a weird like Nightmare Before Christmas thing going on or something. I don't know. So yeah, you got your characters designed now. Let's make a move. A lot of the animation I did was like super sketchy iPad free app, like just blocking in shapes just to get the motion down. All the characters have the same exact number of animation frames. They have the same exact I mean, you can see from the bone and the blood dude down their headbanging, they have the exact same beat, so that once we go into the Fmod and music and stuff, you know, it's a lot easier to line up. On the bottom left was like animation block-in method that was like way overkill for this game. But that's how I did the original idol for the Inferno dude. It was also kind of fun coming up with headbangs for all the different characters. Like, there's one dude that just like punches himself in the face a bunch. Super fun. But yeah, you can see they all have the exact same animation frames, just so they all feel similar. You know, you can pick. I think we were relying more on like, you pick your favorite character based on like, I love this character, and it doesn't matter if you're good with them or not. Pretty similar to like Towerfall and Samurai Gun. Yeah, there's just a shot of the character select. I think that's actually an old character select, but yeah, all the different headbangs and stuff. All right. Couple last ones here. Soul Redemption. So yeah, when your soul blasts out, you mash the button. It's kind of a recurring interaction, mashing the buttons and stuff. We wanted to create something with no numeric life count or UI on screen. If you notice, there's no real like persistent UI. It's kind of an experiment in like creating an organic system, I guess. But you know, playtest note, you know, you die and your soul would come out, people would camp the bodies and wait for them to come back. So we made you invincible on revive until you shot. And people still camped, so we actually made your body explode like in a huge radius on revival, and that worked pretty well. I mean, it also just added to the chaos, and at this point in development, we were just like, anything that adds to the chaos in this game, let's keep it in, unless it completely breaks the game. Yeah, I mean, it created some interesting emergent gameplay where the top of the screen was the most dangerous place to be, because if you die down there or up there, there's less room for you to pull your soul back. That's something that we kind of like, as soon as we realized that, we're like, oh, obviously, you know. So then we were playing with like, well, why would you ever go to the top of the screen and whatever? So we tried to create traps and different mechanics and power-ups that we'd kind of like try to get the player to go up there. Otherwise, like, if you're a smart player, you're just going to hang out at the bottom of the screen. But yeah, don't be afraid of play-testing. I mean, a lot of this stuff, you know, like the thing about being at the top of the screen, it was like, oh my God, it feels so stupid. That's so obvious. Don't be afraid of playtesting and figuring that stuff out and changing your game up. A couple other just cool little nugs here. The top left is the Omni Shard power-up. The bone dude jumps out and just unleashes like 24 shards or something like that. We added power-ups way late in production just because we wanted to make the game even crazier. And yes, total Omni Shard. That thing is so fun. Top right is a look at the charge shot. If you have full shards, you can launch like a big old elemental blast that goes through all the level, through everything, continues on past players. Bottom left is a look at one of our scrolly boys, we call them. We have levels that after a couple seconds, the wall explodes and it just starts scrolling like some crazy Smash Bros. Power Stone action. Those levels are fun. Rarely make it to the end of the level. And then the bottom right, you know, we try to create something. We call them massive attacks. I don't know. But we wanted to create something that fit the theme better than just like, oh, the walls are coming in, or oh, the storm is, you know. Wow, what's that game called? It's the big epic game. Fortnite. Jesus. You know, something like that. We wanted to create something that was more elementals. It was like, what if just like a big ass sword came flying in, or a fork knife just came flying in. So after I think it was like 45 seconds. Like, that's how fast our matches are. They are typically sub 45 seconds. These things start coming in 5 seconds faster every time. It's pretty crazy. Each level has their own each level has their own too. This one came from the side, and then one of them's like a sword from the top, and then there's like a lava trident that came from the bottom. Okay, so I mentioned this at some point a while ago, but launching a game in a pandemic, obviously worst release date ever. Giant oops. How do you? I mean, 6 years later, who knows? But yeah, not so many people want to play local multiplayer games this year. So we pivoted a little bit and really tried to push the Steam Remote Play and push Parsec on our social media and on the store pages and stuff. And we don't really have any data on that, but I mean that's all we could really do. There's online events, but I mean honestly, what are you gonna do? This game was designed from the beginning to be what it is, and I believe it is what it is. So game development is cursed, but not canceled. All right, I'm gonna throw some marketing videos and stuff up real quick here. Oh man, okay. This will be fun. I wonder if anyone will remember this. All right, so this was the original Elementals teaser. I think I showed at IGDA meeting like 6 years ago. Yeah, that's all we had. And then this is pretty cool too. This is 2014 to launch. A good look at how the game's been evolved, the art changed, and everything. Oh, there's actually way more art direction changes than I remember. So marketing, all we really did, we didn't really have a marketing budget. We were just trying to work off our network and social media and stuff. So we create a lot of weird content for Twitter. I guess we kind of, whenever we were going to post a GIF or something, we kind of tried to make it into a thing. So like we had a thing called Feature Peep. And we would like show a little feature of the game or whatever with like a funny little bumpers, trying to do whatever we could to stand out. Here's another Feature Peep. I think some of these went over pretty well. I mean, it's so ridiculous. Then we had a thing called Face Melt Friday, where we would like show a sweet play or something. Just shredded. Oh, and then yeah, you gotta have some GIFs in there. That's a good one too. Oh, Sneak Attack. Oh god. And then, so yeah, we were posting that kind of stuff, and then we did 2 events at local breweries that we were buds with. We did one at Modest, where we had, I mean, it's super easy for us to throw their logo in there and stuff, and so like people are playing Elementals on this huge projector, and like it also has Modest logos. It was like, yeah, pretty cool. We did one with Bauhaus too. We had a level that you played on the cans. It was pretty fun. But honestly, I mean, that's like 20 minutes of work to get those in there. Thank you about the eyeballs. Yeah. And then we just got super weird with like this stuff. Oh my God. I don't know. Let's try anything. But we did make this awesome skull USB thing that I actually have here at the office. And that's what we would demo games on. Oh, there we go. Okay. Boom, we're live. Okay, so yeah, I mean, marketing stuff. That's a lot of what are you gonna do with no marketing budget? There's a shot. Oh, look, familiar faces. This was GlitchCon like 2015 or something, man. I don't know who that is. That dude has hair and glasses and stuff. That's crazy. Classic logo though. No. Okay. Is he in the back there? Oh yeah. There's Matt too. Good times. Yeah, I had a lot of photos from back then. So I think this is the last one I'm marketing, but leaning into your theme a bit. Whenever we demoed, we tried to always just go over the top and create kind of like a crazy, I don't know, something that would attract attention. I mean, obviously we didn't have like dancing satans in the background on fire, but creating, I mean, big old TV with LED lights and cut out stuff on how to play the game and find us. We had the skull USB drive. Yeah, we'll see if we can do that next time, dude. And then I spent like way too much time custom cutting this red tablecloth to look like blood dripping down the front of the table. I think it was worth it, but yeah, I mean, why not lean into it? Let's do something crazy. Here's these were just some. We worked with Mike Vici, a buddy of mine, local dude, crazy good illustrator. He knocked out our key art for Elementals. This was just a bunch of exploration. Some of these are awesome. The top left one where they're all just like drinking wine at this table and like some of them are dead. I don't know. I wish we could have just had to do all these, to be honest. There's some really cool ones. Essentially, we ended up doing the one that kind of showed what the game's about too. So here was like the final draft, and then we were like, all right, take the Ash character and interpret it into like a more realistic drawing. And I don't know, that's pretty crazy. Pretty stoked on how that turned out. But yeah, final key art, super happy with it. I don't know. To me, like it's honestly, it has a really unique look to it. And we're all about collaborating with different artists and stuff at Wallride. We want to we want to work with all kinds of different people. So really stoked on how it turned out. Okay, slide 1400. Yeah, final thoughts. Final thoughts on launching a game 6 years later. Don't shelter your game. When I say that, like I held this way too close to the chest for too long because I feel like I was trying to prove something maybe. But as soon as I started working with other people, it just went it was just so much easier. Working solo, you tend to doubt yourself a lot, and having someone to bounce ideas off or check, gut check that you're doing the right thing is so important. I mean, even with a studio, I mean, once Nathan and I started working together, it was like, oh, like this is going to happen now. So yeah, I mean, find someone that that to work with, share more, share often, on social media and stuff. Yeah, boy. Engage with other people online too. Like if you're scrolling and you like something, like, engage with people and share each other's work. I think I mentioned this earlier, but dev fatigue will make you want to restart. I learned so much in 6 years. I continuously wanted to restart and redo it. And I'm glad I did, to be honest. But that'll contribute to you wanting to restart. So this wasn't even originally. This was a much bigger game, and we toned it down and we launched the core of a fun experience. And I'm super happy with what we released. Don't take design limitations so seriously. Early on, I would set the most hardcore art direction and limitations and stuff, and I felt like I couldn't break them. And I think that eventually leaning more into like an emotion and a theme was more beneficial for the game than trying to prove I could stay within a limit, I guess. So once we started leaning into that's crazy, put it in the game, we had way more fun, and I think people had way more fun playing our game too. This is like I'm gonna get this tattooed on me. Go big and reel it in. Don't tiptoe forward. Especially with particle effects, if anyone knows me. Make it big. I mean, go break the game and come back from that. If you're gonna do something, go big. You're gonna make an explosion. Just make it the craziest stuff and come back. Because if you're tiptoeing forward, it's gonna take you a lot longer to get to a good place. And that doesn't have to necessarily be for crazy explosions, but I think anything, just go for it. And then we started getting into some of this, and we have a lot of crazy plans and stuff. But doing something memorable with marketing, I think the biggest thing with marketing is creating a memory for someone where they associate that with your game, kind of. When we would do events, be like, yo, that's the game that had that crazy skull thing. It's that kind of stuff that that we want to do and create those experiences, those rad experiences for people, that they can associate with your game. And this is kind of, being kind of funny here, but hire people that are better than you. I mean, surround yourself with people that challenge you and people that, have a drive like you do. And, if you're not good at audio, find an audio person. If you're not good at illustration, Nathan's way better artist than me. So he's just going to do all the art now. Don't be afraid to work with people that are better than you at stuff. But yeah, I think it really comes down to what I learned from this was be honest with yourself, be honest with your expectations and your defining success for yourself and what that means. When I originally made this game, I was like, yo, Towerfall made this much money, and it's okay, that looking back, I was like, dude, what are you talking about? Eventually success for me with this game was Wallride having an awesome polished piece in our portfolio and being proud of what we put out there. And I think that it doesn't matter beyond that with this game. We're super stoked on how this turned out, and we still have so much fun playing it. But yeah, I think taking a step back and reflecting and being honest with yourself is pretty huge as a game developer. So yeah, follow your dope ass dreams. That's it for me. You can follow Wallride Games on Twitter at Wallride Games, or you can follow me, Switch Crick, on Twitter. But yeah, that was a lot. So if anyone has any questions or digital high fives. What up? Yes, no commas in there. Oh, let me get that here. Can I come on video or something now?
Yeah, let me show you. You got but you're not. I don't see you. There we go.
Oh boy, okay, I got the wrong.
You're on a spaceship.
There we go. Okay. Oh, I can barely hear this. All right, this is gonna be weird. Yeah, yeah. That is Marvel Superheroes Arcade 1-Up. Highly recommend.
I'm not seeing you, Ty.
That's unfortunate. All right. Oh, I think I switched over to. One sec.
There we go.
I am here. Let me pull up the Twitch. Thanks to everyone. I know that was kind of a lot, but when you work on a game for so long, you got a lot of random stuff built up that you want to say. Oh man, I missed. Sorry, I totally missed if there's anything in the chat.
I think you hit almost everything,
Yeah,
actually.
thanks, everyone.
Yeah, you responded to a lot of stuff. It was great. I think, should we just wrap? I mean, I think we're done. Yeah, looks so great.
Yes.
I want to look at all the stuff in your office in detail. You've got so much stuff on your walls. You can just walk us around. Look at
Let's do a tour. Hi, welcome. These are some old conferences I went to.
Skull Collection.
Jobbot. Little mall brawl. Don't look at my whiteboard. Yeah, it was super fun. Yeah, it was really interesting to kind of go back and reflect on some of that stuff on such a weird project that was so that I was so attached to, So yeah, that was fun. I appreciate the opportunity and stuff.
Which character do you most think is yourself?
I have to go with the Inferno, man. The OG. He's in it for the long haul, I do always play as the Plague character just because I love purple. Yes, I do have an office space in Minnetonka. It's just like a tiny little room because I didn't have enough room to do VR at my house. I was working out of a closet recently where I couldn't even extend my arms to test our VR game, so that's problematic. Hey, get out of here with that Blood Boy stuff. That's got to be Ben. Yeah, one day. I mean, there's still some pretty badass back burner plans for Elementals. We'll see. Oh wow, I foresaw that question. There's still some cool plans that could happen. Probably when people want to go see each other, though.
All right, cool. Well, we're gonna probably be hanging out in Discord at least for a little bit. If anyone wants to, yeah. I feel like I should have like this. I don't know why I never thought of this before, but I should have some canned crowd sounds, some clapping. Like this
honestly, it made it so much better.
Yeah, thanks everyone for coming, and we'll see you next month or later this month for the VR meetup.
All right. See y'all.